had an arranged marriage. My marriage was fixed 2 years before the nikah, as the guy wanted to wait. He did not contact me for 1.5 years of our marriage being fixed. We were not close and had only met once for the 5 minutes in the presence of our family. We stayed married for 1.5 years before separating out, and as far as good days are concerned, we had only probably one. As soon as I got married, I noticed that my husband was not excited about the marriage. He seemed very distant to me. But I thought it was probably because we were living with the parents and the family and he was feeling shy. Eventually, we went to our honeymoon, and just after leaving the house, I came across this guy who was absolutely bitter. He was very rude, hurtful, materialistic, and a very toxic person. He started to show me his anger about me not looking good enough. He started to cry with tears in his eyes, just telling me that I don't look good. It was very embarrassing for me and very, very hurtful, but somehow he did not get it. I used to try to impress him and wear things differently, but somehow he always ended up making me feel very, very inferior. We went to a mall and I was very excited to see this new mall in Thailand, and he kept on telling me that I did not look good in that whatever dress I was checking out. It was very, very embarrassing to me, and somehow the self-respect that I had built by that time told me to stay away from him, but it was very hard. By the end of the day, he showed me that he was not interested in the wedding either, because he got a couple of gifts for a lady friend, telling me that it was for his sister. I cried the whole honeymoon, and I was turned from a confident, sarcastic, funny girl into a very timid and scared person. I remember starting to shiver whenever he came around. Whenever he looked at me, I saw anger in his eyes, and I was not ready for that. At that particular time, it was enough that I was coming back to India, to my family. But after that, he left for South Africa and I had to stay in India. I had to wait for 1 full year to get my visa, and because of no family support, I could not take any action on the marriage. I eventually came to South Africa and I thought things will be different. I met him and we went to go out, but he used to speak really little. Eventually, he took me to a mall and he sat me down and he told me for 20 minutes that I did not look good. But I thought I did, and I felt I did. But he kept denying me that. Whenever I looked at him, I felt a lot of anger in his eyes. I felt that he wanted me to suffer. I thought he wanted to test me by making me suffer and by making me feel sad. He wanted to look into my eyes and see that I was struggling to be with him, and it was very hard for me. He seemed to have some problems from his life which he was trying to take out on me. But whenever I sat to him, I sat with him and to tell him that I think it would be good to just quit this marriage. He would beg me and he would cry, saying that he is doing it for the family and he would do anything and everything from that moment on to save me. But eventually, with time, I realized that not only that he is a toxic person, he is also a very selfish person, a very hurtful one. He would never do anything for me. He would never be able to love me. He would never be able to sacrifice anything for me. He wouldn't be able to make me feel special ever, but would always make sure he was fine. His convenience was over everything else. Me, my family, every single thing, and even our marriage. That is when I decided that I did not want to be in that thing. I wanted to be free, and I used to always miss my days of hope when I was with him. All through this, my family never supported me. They were thankful for the bare minimum. He was thankful that my husband was not beating me up. They were thankful that they were not bringing a woman home. My parents tried to see the best in him and the worst in me. They even tried to associate this with how I used to fight with my siblings for small things like Maggie. They started to compare this relationship with the other ones that I had with my siblings. It then dawned upon me that my parents, who were very liberal, they were still seeing me as a burden. I think this was the time where I saw the true face of patriarchy, because they sell it by the name of protecting their women, but my experience is completely different. The two people that actually gave me the real support are my childhood friend, another lady who was a stranger to me but who took care of me like I am her sister. It's you, Shaila Baji. I absolutely love you. The topic of leaving abusive marriages is very close to my heart, and I have a plenty to speak about, but I'll keep it to minimum, and I will tell you that a bad marriage ruins everything. If you are planning on having a dual life, wherein in one of them you are amazing but in the other one you are miserable, then let me tell you, it does not work out. I did not know that until I came out of the marriage. It is so fabulous to be alone, single, and hopeful than face the reality of a man who is real, whose negativity is real, whose insults are so real, and the disappointments that they give you are there for life. When I first left my husband, I noticed for the first time that I had a great view from my house all along. I started to look good, I started to dress up, and I also started to give my 100% to things. My hope was back. So a bad marriage makes you lose hope. I have lived 1,000 lives the size of the life that he had given me already. One more thing that is very important is that a child's psychology is the most complicated subject, and you cannot even predict how something is going to impact your child. So don't let your children suffer, and they will suffer for life, because the psychology that changes in you is for life. So I want to say, if for his conveniences he tramples on your life, if for his ego and insecurity he makes you a lifeless human, just run. Although I am not divorced yet, but it is one of the hardest things I had to do. Majorly because I was stuck in a new country, because my family did not care, and also because of lockdown. One of the shocking things that I experienced during this time is when I was growing up, I used to see these elderlies, these men who were respected, who were religious, who seemed to preach all the time about righteous things. But in my case, they never said anything. They did not take a stand for me. They were too scared of the society. I thought they will be my superheroes, but they weren't. And one of the other big challenges that I faced was to accept that my family wanted me to suffer when I was ready to fight for myself.